عليكم.
وعليكم السلام. Shalom.
Hello.
How are
مرحبا.
you? Marhaba.
How are you, Amira?
All is good? Hakol beseder?
So we're sitting here in the housing of your group.
Yes, in the Unarmed Civilian Protection in Palestine practitioners' house, we call it.
The practitioner's house, where people come for 3 months.
3 months, or sometimes some people are just coming for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks to do volunteering and to stay with the community, to to connect with the people here, to do protective presence, to eat together, to cook together. Though it's really, really, really hot. It's like it can get to 50 degrees sometimes,
Welcome to Women Ending War, the podcast where Palestinian and Israeli women talk about partnerships for peace, real solutions, and ideas for crafting a new world.
It's where we express our pain, anger, dreams, creativity, and vision, where hope is a conscious choice.
معاكم أميرة مسلم.
I'm Elana Stockman. Thanks for joining us.
So tell me why the organization exists. First of all, how long has the organization been around?
Okay, so as UCPIP, we have been here since July, but we have been preparing for this, and I have talked with you, with the Women Ending War, so many times about it. We have been preparing for it since around October 2023, 7th of October, when everything happened, and there was a conference for the practitioners of a UCP for a Nonviolent Peace Force, a big organization that was co-founded by Mel Duncan, my colleague. And then they challenged them and told them, what would you do about Palestine and Israel? What kind of service you would do? Because UCP, Unarmed Civilian Protection, is done in many countries. Now, while we are speaking, they are operating in 37 different places around the world. So only in Palestine and Israel, where it is needed. So that's where it started, and that's how we are now continuing this work.
Yeah. When we talked the first time, you talked about your own family experience, how settlers came, and so we talked about that. And one of the things that was really powerful for me was when you talked about how the most important thing, the most helpful thing that people can do is to stand with you, to just be with you and be witness.
Exactly. My first, when I talked about my family experience and how protective presence and these beautiful people from around the world and from Israel came and stood by us, how it was like a warm hug for us. It was, okay, we see you, we hear you, you're not alone, don't worry. Even maybe in many cases, people can't get back what they want, or like can't get back their land, or they are ethnically cleansed, but at least they weren't alone when it happened, and it really makes a difference. It really makes a difference. In our case, in Al-Makhrur, we, with the help of all this kind of like solidarity, social media, people around the world heard us. They start pressuring their governments. Even diplomats from different embassies came and visited us in Al-Makhrur. And until the settlers were in our land until around October, from like 31st of July until October, and then they left with we won like a legal battle, and they left because they couldn't play and manipulate the court, the Israeli court, because all eyes were on them. Even like we had the French embassy observing and making sure that nobody is manipulating the files. And so we won the case, and we got an order that those settlers should be out of our land.
That when we read on the internet what Haymanuta does, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that a word of justice is used for these,
for stealing land,
for stealing land,
and
and for cheating. for gaslighting when the word means being very honest. The word in
Minutes as opposed to being honesty.
Yeah,
Can
honesty.
you introduce yourself?
What?
Can you introduce yourself for a second?
Yeah, my name is Ben. Or you can see me better without the Sophia. I'm 61 years old. I grew up in a modern Orthodox family in Israel.
In Petah Tikva?
What?
In Petah Tikva?
No. I grew up in Rehovot, and then my parents moved to the West Bank, to the Northwest Bank, and I was a settler myself, and so I'm trying to atone for all the bad things I've done in the past.
Yeah.
And I'm committed to this place for almost 5 years. In Ras Al Ain for almost 2 years from the beginning of the October 7 war. And so I was very happy to hear there's a present for 3 months and that I can join this group. I'm eldest, but I promised the people that interviewed me that there will be more mature people than me. Even the eldest.
How's it going?
And you get my word. I think the people here are young, but they're very smart and mature. It's really lovely to work with them, with this team.
Amazing. So we were with this group this morning, right? So we were out there this morning also with Ari. Ari, how are you? Want to tell us a little bit about yourself also?
Sure. My name is Ari. I'm a American from New York. I've actually met Amira doing protective presence in her house a year ago. I was there the first day they came, and I got to know her a bit then. Then I flew back to New York after a month, and through the program that Tamar Glazerman runs, Israelis for Peace.
Yeah, we interviewed Tamar.
Yeah. So I mentioned her. I heard that Amira was coming to New York with Mel to create infrastructure for the program, talk to folks in the government, raise funds. And I met her again, and then this time I invited her to my neighborhood where we did a fundraising event, and that was very meaningful. And I've been a volunteer organizer for this program since. And when we're finally ready to put feet on the ground, I applied to be a practitioner, and here I am.
You are fantastic.
Yeah.
And you were really helpful this morning and gave us a lot of tours and information. Thank you for that.
Thank you. It's really important. The more people see, the better.
Yeah, getting the word out is very important.
I want to add something.
Yeah.
Months ago, there was a discussion in the High Court of Israel about Muawajat, the village near us that had, in the beginning of July, was ethnic cleansed and all the people left. The fact that there are not enough eyes on display could let the Lieutenant General, the commander of the whole Jordan Valley, to lie in front of the court. As my friend Guy Hirschfeld said to him after the discussion was ended, he said, except of the words, good morning, you didn't say one word of truth.
What did he say?
He said that sometimes the youth, the top hills group, youth get 50 meters from the Palestinian houses. Sometimes. He said that his toilets, his soldiers are 7 minutes from Muawajat, and they can come in 10 minutes to every calling. Today, people called for an hour. They didn't come. He said he didn't know anything about the events on July 2. When the settlers attacked the village, when they robbed herd of 60 goats and sheep and robbed their home. They robbed about 11,000 shekel, dinars and a shekel, robbed a TV, AC, and bag with all the documents of the family. And this happened when we called the police from 8 o'clock, the police and the army from 8 o'clock. No, the army that came joined the settlers, and the police didn't arrive at all. There's a very strange guy. He's the Rafshat, the head of security of illegal settlement, named Mevot Yericho. This lieutenant general said he doesn't react. He doesn't act out of his place. He's coming here every day almost, and he's a disgusting guy. He very violent. He doesn't stop speaking, gaslighting, annoying us, and he reacts as he's in charge of the place. So
and we can say his name. It's Gabriel, right?
Yeah. His name is Gabriel Kalish. Kalish, a very annoying guy. But this lieutenant general said to the president of the High Court of Israel, he said he doesn't get out of the limits of Mevot Yericho, which this lieutenant general and the commander of all the Pikud Merkaz of the Central Army of Israel let the warders of Mevot Yericho come into the village of Muharajat. So those people are criminals, are really evil. But the state of Israel stands behind them. And the state of Israel gives them the support and even legal support. When they say the limits of the village comes into, of their settlement, is coming into the Bedouin village. So Israel it's all these sins on the hands of Israel, not on those criminals only.
So you came from this world? You were born. You grew up in this world of the settlements and all the Zionism.
From the age of 16, I was born before the Six Days War, so I couldn't raise up as a settler. My parents went to the Samaria, or the North West Bank, on 1980. I was 16 years old.
Which settlement?
They established Ma'ale Shomron near Azun, between Talkilia and Nablus. And they moved 3 years later to Kedumim, the settlement of Daniela Weiss and Smotrich. And they were friends of Daniela Weiss. They didn't know Smotrich. I never stand her. I couldn't stand her even when I was very right-wing.
And how did you make the switch?
Exactly. I wanted to ask him the same question. And how did you get to a point where you opened your eyes, you opened your mind?
Well, there are two switches I had. One, when I was 25 years old, I'm 89, I left the yeshiva in Josephtown and went to yeshiva that you serve in the army with it. And now experience. Yeah, yeshiva is there. And one that was, they called it very left on those days, but it's in the West Bank. It's near the Gala in Alon Shvut. Of Rabbi Soloveitchik,
Gush Etzion Junction.
Yeah, and Rabbi Mikal.
So that was considered left wing. They were made mad.
Yeah, and they were lefters than their students now. So I think the Oslo Agreement really break all to the right. But anyway, I was the most extreme right student there. And several weeks before I left it, a friend of my friend, I knew him only by face and name. He took the gun and shoot on laborers coming back from work in Israel in Summit Gan near Petah Tikva and Bnei Brak. And this thing really shocked me. I was really shocked when he did it. And a friend of mine say, well, what did you expect? There are a branch of crazy people, you know? Bunch of crazy people. What did you expect? And I said, well, he's right. So it changed my mind. But still, for more than 30 years, I was in silence. So this is what I thought, but I didn't go to demonstration, and and never shouted it, and just said it, quite, how do you say it in English?
Under your breath.
Yeah.
Under a breath.
Yeah. So
Taklim is looking the occupation in the eye. They are our field partners. They are also Israeli volunteers who are dedicating their free time to come and document and witness on everything that is happening to this community here. They are amazing. They do shifts. They come from all over Israel. They come from Tel Aviv, from Haifa, from all the way up north. They drive all the way here. They do a few hours, and then they take shifts with other people, and like this 24/7, different people. Our group UCPIP is here 24/7. So they don't change. They don't take shifts or like change the people. The same people for 3 months, they are staying here. We have another group coming in September where they will overlap with this group. This group will teach them. They will, show them the place,
maybe
the
I
names.
joined them.
Yeah, maybe for another 3 months.
Yeah.
Yes, and we stay here 24/7.
I just want to say something that I've been thinking. I don't know if you're following, how much you're following American politics, but in America, the Trump administration has been doing a lot of really terrible, illegal things, right? The National Guard just took over Washington, D.C. So first they were like ICE, so-called police, just go random places and picking up random people without even having to show their faces or show any ID or show a warrant or anything like that. And now you see all kinds of clips coming out of Washington, D.C., where like the government is acting against its own people. And one of the things that's been coming out is that suddenly there are now all kinds of people, regular civilians, going on patrol. And they go out there and they say, I am like on a patrol to protect my neighbors, people who have, South American neighbors, or people who are at risk of being, picked up, like randomly picked up and kidnapped by the government. Yes. And so the big thing in America right now is these civilian patrols. And I keep thinking to myself, every time I see, some news about that, I always think about you and the kinds of messages that you say, because you've been saying all along that the best thing that people can do for one another is show up. Is show up for each other, to show up when certain people, when certain populations are vulnerable and in danger, just show up.
And actually in the States, we know many people from those who go on the streets. There are many groups and many chapters for a nonviolent peace force and for UCP practitioners from around the States who do this work, and they are around the States. Exactly that, helping each other, just their own people. It doesn't have to be that you have to go to another country to do this work. You can do it in your own country. So Americans do it for Americans. Here in our case, it's a little bit different, because if we do it for ourselves as Palestinians, we are, nobody will care. We are in danger. Exactly. I'm continuing. So it's very dangerous. We will be arrested. We will be banned. We will be killed, and so on. So we need others to step up and do this work for us and be with us and show us like some solidarity. And so we ask like foreigners to come, but also foreigners now are also in a very bad, dangerous position also, where, for example, Aisha Noor, who was with the group ISM, she was shot by a sniper while she was standing under an olive tree doing nothing. She wasn't like interacting with this IDF or anything. They shot her. A sniper shot her in the head. It's not like he shot her in her arm or leg just to warn her, you have to go. No, he shot her in the head, and he knew, and there was no clashes at that moment.
Which shows you that how powerful it is, because they wouldn't be targeted if the showing up wasn't so powerful. It's the same thing with the journalists, like you were saying before about, like who's next on the list, like who are they going to come for next? They're going to come for the people who are documenting, for the journalists, and already, journalists being arrested and things like that.
Like since we started talking about UCPIP and doing the assessment report back in July, also things have changed radically. For example, last year, foreigners would not be deported. Since last year until now, since last July, if a foreigner is caught to do protective presence, he's being deported and accused of doing activism against the state of Israel or terrorist activism or whatever. They will, supporting terrorists.
Yeah, because call it supporting terrorists or supporting Mechablim. Because the right wing in Israel consider all Palestinians, they consider them Mechablim.
Yeah.
Because they claim, it's not true, but they claim that all of them supporting Hamas. And when I hear it, I say it, the most killing organization between the Mediterranean and Jordan is the Israeli Air Force. And show me how many Israelis don't support the Israeli Air Force. So you are supporting killers. All the Israeli society, and you're projecting it to Palestinians. But all the speaking between Israelis against Palestinians is all projecting.
But exactly, it doesn't matter. It's just the problem with the world that the Israeli propaganda was so powerful that it brainwashed everybody's mind into believing that all Palestinians are Hamas to start with, that all Palestinians want to kill all Israelis. The second thing, that's what they convinced the world, and that everything started on the 7th of October and everything that is happening now because of the 7th of October. And people are just so ignorant, I don't know, like God created us in a perfect, image, and on his image, and created a brain different than animals, created a brain for us to think, to think, to see, to research, not to stay and hear someone like Bibi Netanyahu saying, "Oh, Palestinians are 1, 2, 3," and then believe it, and that's it. Shut down the TV. No, go research. Do some research. Take the two sides. I'm not telling you be pro-Palestinian. I don't want you to be pro-Palestinian. I'm not asking anybody to be pro-Palestinian. Be pro-truth, pro-justice, not pro me or you. It's really pro the truth. That's it. Just don't just listen, and then anything that we say or anybody says about Israelis who are like doing atrocities or like these settler attacks, brutal attacks, terrorist attacks, I call them. And then if we talk about them, they call us anti-Semite. We are not anti-Semite. This is not anti-Semitism. You are Jewish. He is Jewish. He is Jewish.
No, I don't think we're Jewish. I think we are Israelis. I think it's different than being Jewish. Like Judaism. No, I mean, all the people in Israel are Israeli, there's something very, very, very dominant that transformed. Because the Jewish people, for almost 2,000 years, we live without a state. We live without sovereignty, and we're all around the world, and our homeland was books. And as Israelis, the things that define us is our state, our having sovereignty, and occupying. Occupation is the dominant thing that defines Israel today. So I think we're not Jewish. You know who's like live like Jewish these days? The Palestinians. Their life is like Jewish. They are out of the world. They have no place in the world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of take this to like what was said, like how I see that manifests in the settlers. Because like one thing that especially this brand of settlers that we're dealing with they weaponized minors. They there's this instead of the army doing the terror themselves, like they do in a lot of other places here, they figure out a strategy of like we'll put our dirty work on the minors, and then there's these ringleaders that come and brainwash the minors and basically train the minors to literally act like robots. Like they have these very clear instructions that they follow, like walk and create provocations by walking to the car, by sitting by the border. And then these are like the intimidation tactics that we do. And then they have a script that they follow to the teeth. And sometimes we see the elders come. And what's really interesting when we see the elders come, like Kalish, is that you can actually see the miners watching them and imitating them. So one time, an elder, Kalish, went to Ben and just tried to smack the bone out of his hands. And then what you see later, the miner for the first time does the exact same thing. And what Amira said about the way that people are trained, the state trains Israelis to see Palestinians, you could really see that manifest within the settlers. For example, a person, an adult, was talking with a minor, right? And told him to invade somebody else's property. I saw it with my own eyes. Right there. 13, 14-year-old kid, an adult, who was like his caregiver, told him, go this close and sit on their chair, go walk around, right? I filmed him. The film was seen by Palestinians, was shared in a private, this network of Palestinians being like, oh my God, look what happened to this person. Like, look at this person being invaded. The next day, the same person comes with the minor and said in front of the miners, why did you share his video and his face in terror networks? You are trying to get this kid killed. So he's training the kid
Self-victimized.
to self-victimize, and he's training the kid, first of all, because in their heads, if they don't even see that they don't even register that there are human beings that are there. So they're just walking. So like, why are we bothering them from walking? Like the fact that there are people living their lives because they're Palestinians, they're like invisible. They're invisibilized. So they don't even see the problem in what they do, really. And then it's like, why did you share this with terror networks? And the kid is essentially learning from this man how to become genocidal, how to think like a genocidal person. And he seems very depressed, and the only time I ever see him smile is when he manages to terrorize people. Right. He's 14, yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I work with kids. I've told him before, like, this person
to add something. No, I want to talk about. Okay, I want to say Ari is a teacher, and every time he's speaking about children, I see how it really hurts him.
Yeah.
So we didn't mention that his occupation of the Ari is being a teacher.
Yeah.
Children being used and exploited.
Well, I can understand how that happens from their perspective, right? I mean, they're learning how to basically produce the result that will condition them. It's like this very mutually reinforcing thing. But they go and they invade people's personal, private space. The activists, they escalate the activists, and then the activists become escalated, and then that reinforces, like it bonds them with each other and against us.
And these kids are the most vulnerable. That's what we were saying before. They're picking up vulnerable kids.
I said,
Yeah.
it's a kids activist.
One time in al-Makhrur in Beit Jala, where my family land was invaded by those settlers, one of the groups of combatants for peace, he was speaking to one of those settlers in Hebrew, Israeli activist, but it wasn't captured on camera. and he said, why do you do this? Like you go and enjoy your life. Yeah, why? What's happening here? And one of the settlers said, well, if I don't come here, they won't give me my medicine.
The kids are being exploited and blackmailed. I mean, I just want to comment on something that Ben said about how this is Israelis and not Jews, because I come from Brooklyn. We talked about this. Some of your volunteers are also from Brooklyn, from Flatbush, and I've talked often about the connections between Brooklyn and the settlement movement. I think it's really actually very important to understand this because I went to the same yeshiva that Meir Kahana and Baruch Goldstein went to, and I feel like Ben Gvir today, who's a disciple of Meir Kahana, this is in order to understand Ben Gvir, you have to understand Brooklyn. You have to understand Meir Kahana's Brooklyn. It's not an accident that something like 30% of all settlers also are American, or some statistic like that. I might be getting it a little wrong, but it's very dominant. The sort of Brooklyn Orthodox thinking, the Brooklyn Orthodox upbringing and indoctrination, I want to say, is a big piece of the thinking here. And you need to understand, because it is connected. They're not disconnected, Ben. I think what you were saying about Israelis and Jewishness being two different things, they're not two different things. And actually, if you want to understand the dehumanization of Palestinians, you have to understand that when I was in 9th grade, when I was 14, I was taking mandatory classes in Zionism. And in Zionism, we were learning these things. Okay. We were learning that Palestinians are all liars. We were learning to refute things that people were saying when we had never met a Palestinian in our lives. None of us had even read anything that Palestinian. So we were in a place very far away from Palestinians, completely dehumanizing Palestinians. And today, many of my classmates are still in the same headspace. Many of my classmates also, I have some classmates also who live in settlements. I lived in settlements also like Ben for a couple of years, a long time ago, because I was brought up on certain understandings. And I think the understandings being, generous. I think that it's really important to understand how Jewish diaspora identity feeds into a particular kind of dehumanization of the other that breeds this kind of violence that you're describing. I think it's really important to understand this. It's interesting to me, that there are a bunch of people here who've done that kind of journey, everybody in their own way, everybody from different locations, but it's really a process of like learning to talk back to your culture, which takes a lot of courage and wisdom and a lot of understanding, like a lot of willingness to go against everything that you've been taught. And that's not always easy, but that's what has to happen, in my opinion. And that's why what I was saying, Ben, is that you have to understand these connections. They're not just connected. Yeah, Ben, okay.
When I said I'm Jewish, I think in contrary to people out of Israel, I meant on the time, on history. On history, Israelis are not Jewish, and I grew up as an Israeli, but I knew many Jews. I knew many people that grew up without a state, without sovereignty.
I was raised in an Orthodox family, born in the United States, and we made Aliyah when I was 7. My family never in name identified as Zionist, but in action, 100%. My parents knew that they wanted to be here and to buy land in 48, and that is by definition Zionist. I lived in 48 from the ages of 7 to 17, and then got out as quickly as I could, and have been in Brooklyn ever since, which was kind of just the beginning of my journey of figuring things out. It took me multiple years of living outside of 48 to recognize the indoctrination and the propaganda, and how much of a fallacy so much of what I was marinated in as a kid was, and to unlearn the victimhood and to pull those pieces apart and then rebuild my understanding of my Jewish identity as it is divorced from Zionism.
Can you give an example of something that triggered you, that helped, like something that happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think about this a lot because I'm like, I don't think I have a very specific like aha moment. It was very much like a slow trickling. And me unlearning Zionism and divorcing that as far away from myself as I can feels really intertwined with my queer identity and my trans identity, because when I came out as queer and when I came out as trans, that's when my whole world just kind of cracked. And I was like, oh, there is so much that I've been indoctrinated into. What else is wrong? What else is false? And it was what felt like a vast majority of what I was taught as a child. And I think a big thing that I come back to is reflecting on like these specific stories that we learned growing up of like the story of Dina and her brothers and how she was kidnapped, and so her brothers just infiltrated this entire village, town, city, and murdered everyone for their one family member. And that is a story, and like multiple others like that have just kind of stuck with me. And I'm like, this is this what we consider to be Jewish? Is this revenge plot a Jewish value? How the hell is that in any way aligned with my understanding of Judaism? Where my understanding of Judaism is, if we are the chosen people, that means that it is our responsibility to do better by ourselves and to do better by the entire world. It is our responsibility to recognize the humanity in all people and all creatures that we share this land, this earth with.
It's so interesting that you come to patriarchy, like when you would talk, about you talked about the connection between undoing Zionism and undoing gender, gender indoctrination also, and then you talked about Dina with this incredibly violent patriarchy. It's like one of the stories of the most violent patriarchy. Yeah. And I'm wondering if you think that Zionism, Judaism, and patriarchy are intertwined that way.
Absolutely. I don't understand how all of these different systems are not intertwined. I understand that violence and the like urge to rule and control comes in every gender, but I do think that the ways in which the patriarchy kind of teaches young boys and men to stand in their gender identity is so deeply rooted in violence as a way to reinforce an understanding of their gender. And I think that patriotism and Zionism and capitalism, so much of it is rooted in, I am going to stake a claim in something that is not mine, and I'm going to make it my own.
Yes, totally.
And
absolutely
fight me. And if you fight me, I will come down on you with hammers, and I will bring my whole family. I will bring an entire army, and I will make you see that I am the one who is entitled to this.
Entitled.
With nothing to back it up other than the freaking audacity. And in the case of Zionism, what Israelis, what Jews, what Zionists accuse is what we are admitting. And the thing that another like specific thing that I was raised with was this like fear of jihad, and like Palestinians and Arabs are going to do holy war and murder all of us. And I sit here and go, how is this genocide that we've been committing and this ethnic cleansing that we've been committing for over 100 years at this point, how is this not a jihad? How is what we're doing not so deeply rooted? It is 100% rooted in this land was promised to us, therefore we're going to take it back. How is that not the exact same thing that you're saying that our siblings in this world are committing against us?
And Elana, just one thing I want to add. Just listening to you, Dean, especially the last thing you said, like, look at you now. You are Israeli, you are Jewish, you are queer. Ari, Ben, you are Israelis. Elana, you are Israeli, you are Jewish. You're sitting in the center of a Palestinian village and you are not killed. Nobody killed you, nobody raped you, nobody judged you, nobody, even on the contrary, people here are very welcoming, and count on all the Palestinian villages. If some, like I just hated that they just try to show that we Palestinians are the devils. Yeah. And we are not. It's not, I'm not defending my people or myself, but every day I have, like 2 days ago, I had two Israelis in Bethlehem, in Beit Jala, sleeping in my house. We went around and we had food, and they were speaking in Hebrew in the street in Beit Jala, and everybody was like smiling to them, and like, because this is the normal thing. Nobody tried to kill them, even when they heard them speaking Hebrew, and that's what, like the just the basic level of that's what I hate about what's all happening, that they just created fear in people's hearts and mind towards the other, that now a big percentage of the Israelis, they just fear us. Though before 2000,
Of course.
before the wall was built, they call it the security wall, I call it the apartheid, the racism, the everything. They created this wall not only by concrete, but they created this wall between us. So now we look behind that wall, there are the other, and you look at that side of the wall, there is the other. They created this fear. Before 2000, Israelis used to come to our restaurants, eat from our restaurants, be with us, would like play with us in the parks. We go to them and play, together. And after the establishment of this horrible security apartheid disgusting wall, they just created the fear. It's not about security,
It's another way of humanizing the people who we are so dead set on killing. And it is another way to justify the atrocities that Israel is continuing to commit. And I've been ruminating on that a lot in the 10 years that I lived in 48. The only person who ever saved me when I was a teenager and I ran away from home was a local Palestinian man who lived on Israeli property as a caretaker of the land. And that was the only safe space that I had as a teenager to go to. It was the only place that I felt that I could exist as a human. And that was another one of the things where I was like, this doesn't make sense. And that was one of the few genuine human to human interactions that I had with a Palestinian person as a child, because we're so segregated and it's intentional.
Of course, they are afraid us. If they see us now sitting around the table together, Palestinians, Israelis, American Jews, Christians, and Muslims in the kitchen there, two beautiful women are cooking for us dinner, and it's lovely. And they don't want to see this, because in this is power. They don't want us to be powerful. Love is power.
I want to add something. First of all, there were Israelis who came to Beit Jala, but all the time there are many Israelis who are in fear from Palestinians. So, being phobia from Palestinian, hatred that is based on fear, is something we nurse with our mother milk. Our mothers nurse us with the milk. They nurse us being phobia from Palestinians. And you mentioned the jihad. There's big jihad and small jihad in Islam. We are not taught about it. The big jihad is fighting yourself, is making yourself good. This is the big jihad. The small jihad, which we know from the news, is for the sinners, for the weak people. And so, okay, so these are, I think, the first thing that we're talking about. Oh, I've been working at Bar-Ilan University in the lowest place, in the lowest caste in the university. I was science assistant in Judaism studies, Talmud, mostly Talmud, but other subjects also. Bar-Ilan University is full of Palestinians. After the COVID, most of the students you see in the campus are Palestinians because the Israelis use Zoom and they don't arrive to the university. The ability of Israelis not to see these people, not to see their beauty, is unbelievable. You know, they just don't see them. They go through them as they were transparent. Yeah. So they just don't see them. And the fact that I was with a left wing ideology or opinions and speaking with Palestinians, they said, I don't know the word in English. They said they wanted to avoid me from the library, not allow them step into the library because to entice them to go over. So they wanted, so really the people in the university made me a favor that I can keep on stepping into the library because they were really angry at my opinions and speaking with Palestinian students. And we're not talking about Palestinians from Palestine. We're talking about Palestinians from 48. Yeah, part of Israel. Yeah, students from the north, from what they call Mishulat, the triangle, the Palestinian towns in the middle of Israel, and from the Negev, from the south of Israel. Yeah. So you're not allowed to interact them as people or mostly as loved people. It's a crime in Israel.
I just want to give a message for Israelis, for Israeli Americans who are who or for Jewish Americans even, who are like standing and protesting and like shouting out loud. I think it's not enough. I think you should come. You should be here. You should do something. So your presence matters as Israelis and Israeli Americans. Your voices and your bodies carry unique weight in this struggle for justice. Communities under threat have told us again and again, don't leave us alone. Having you stand with them is not just symbolic, it's protective. It can deter violence and it amplifies the truth. We urge you, do not come for just a day or two. Stay longer, build relationships, listen and accompany communities in their daily lives. Document what you see, share it with the world. Use your language, your citizenship, and your networks to expose the reality of occupation and violence. Stand in solidarity, join the groups already on the ground, coordinate, and add your presence to the collective protective effort.
Thanks for listening to Women Ending War. If you want to help create change, you should join us.
Subscribe, like, comment, or share. Tell your friends about us. Talk about it. Be part of the solution.
Thanks and see you next time.